Dude, it's funny because when I get like, and we do actually do real stand-ups at work, or we have like.
What do you mean?
Or we have like.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You're on another podcast?
Yeah, that's offensive. That there's another podcast called The Stand-Up. Anyways,
Hey guys, it's Tej from the future here. A little bit of context. We were in LA at the Lighthouse and we got to film an in-person stand-up together. Really hope you enjoy this. We're gonna catch up en media res, as they say in the biz, on Trash saying how he got his first job working on mainframes. Hope you enjoy this and hope you learn something about getting your first job or the next job in tech. Thanks everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya.
But seriously, like I'll be like in these conversations where like, you know, everyone's giving input and they look at me like I'm like the intern because I look young. Well, I looked younger at the time. They're like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Bro, I've been doing this for like 10 plus years. What are you talking about?" They're like, "What?
Are you sure
just
it's because of how
graduated."
you look? Or like you're not sure it's not your code?
there's other things that make you appear junior.
Real quick though, guys, even if you were 40, if you started programming day one, mainframes weren't that hot 40 years ago still.
Well,
Like,
all the
it's-
companies that use mainframes,
they
they're
were.
not changing their tech stack. So
He's got
these jobs are around forever.
Wait, so what were you literally writing? For what company, can you say?
He won't even, he doesn't have a language.
it was like this,
He's
like
such making this up.
He's lying.
I know,
No,
yeah.
no.
What's the language,
Punch
Trash?
cards. We were
Hey,
using
Trash,
punch
what's the
cards.
language, Trash?
No, it was-
Micro hard.
it was they sold like gear for like cranes and heavy industry stuff. It was
This
called,
sounds
like,
made up. Why
No,
would you?
no, no, I
why
swear.
would you need a mainframe for selling cranes?
I don't know, but I was writing RPG. I did some COBOL, some Fortran.
RPG. I've played those kind of games before, dude.
Dude,
You wouldn't
it sounds
understand.
So fake.
You're too young, bro.
Skyrim.
No, I did some COBOL. I did
Oblivion.
Fortran. There's this other language called Lanza. That was for like web
Lanza
development.
D's
I was stressed about that. You can land the
Dude, check this out. We actually had a person come in once a week to grab our tapes because we backed everything up to a tape. So we had to learn how to do backups to a tape, put them in a vault. Someone would come and pick them up.
A vault?
Wait, so what do you mean? Like you unroll
It was
the
like
tape
a
and you
guy
write
like in an
down the
armored, like
code on
literally
it?
legit a guy like in an armored car would come and collect our backups.
So this is like
For
Git before Git.
cranes?
There's like financial data, all this stuff. Like our old like CRM, like support staff, they all used what we coded.
You put support staff on a.
It was green screen programming. So like when you went to McDonald's like probably
That
15
somehow
years
does
ago.
not make it any
Green
easier.
screen programming?
So
I
it's fake.
have a
Oh,
green
it's fake.
screen
He's
at
saying it's
home.
fake. It's green screen. Okay, it's not
Okay,
even real.
so check this out. So this is how I got the job. So when I graduated at the time, I can't remember the year, but there's a huge hiring freeze. No one was getting jobs in tech actually. It was kind of
Oh, I've
relatable
heard
now.
of this. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
got hired this year?
Yeah, yeah. Just listen to me.
We're listening,
I,
we're listening,
I
we're
found this job on Craigslist. It literally just said programming. It literally just said programming
Is
on
it programming
Craigslist.
-8/hour?
I
He's
think,
like,
it might-
got it.
I think that's actually programmer 1,
Okay.
space 1, because that's like the level.
Yeah.
And I just like Hail Married because all my other friends, they all were getting
You
jobs.
graduated with a software like development.
No.
Like, what did you graduate from? You don't remember your major?
He's
I
making this
graduated
all up.
so
He's-
long.
he's-
No, business administration with information systems. I think, and it was like a focus, and you could focus on different tracks, and I focused on databases. And then in high school, I was in the Oracle SQL Academy.
Oh, okay, okay. I was hoping to say, in high school, I was in the Oracle Club.
I mean, it was basically that. But yeah, so
It's like chess club. Pretty cool.
You wouldn't
Second-
understand.
second
we actually won regionals.
I was writing SQL when you guys are just
Okay.
like
So how did this work? You went on Craigslist for whatever reason and you found a job.
programmer 1, clicked it, just
Yeah.
apply. I don't even remember what it said.
How
But
do you apply? Did you have to do like a public post? How does Craig? I don't even know how. Craigslist
I don't even remember.
There's probably like a phone number and email.
I think you just send
Or
an
was
email.
this before
I-
email? Fax?
Yeah, I faxed it. I think they had a pager number, and I beeped them. 911 need a job.
Beep 3 times to apply.
No, but check this out. So I go in, and the whole interview was on paper. There's 3 questions. Like, here's a standard sized piece of paper.
Yeah.
3, and I had to write like an if statement, a for loop, and then like some other thing. And then
What?
yeah, it was. Dude, I can't.
They literally
Like
just
this
asked
job.
you, like,
this job
can
was
you
just
write
like
an
it was
if
the most
statement?
random job ever. Like I don't even know. Like the fact that I found it, got hired was just like a miracle. Like honestly, it was just like it just felt like someone made it up. Like you guys are saying, it kind of just feels like it was made up. But it's just like how I got started.
This explains so much about Disney Plus and Netflix and Hulu. Every place Trash has worked.
Dude, man, and so the people that I used
Hey,
to
wait a
work
second.
with, they
Wait,
still work there today.
And at Netflix?
I was at Hulu before Netflix.
And Disney?
Well, Disney bought Hulu, and then when I came back from like paternity leave, it was like a full Disney takeover at that point. And then I merged with another Disney team, and I was like, I'm out of here.
That's what I'm saying. He's worked at all of them.
I'm gonna go to Max next, HBO.
That's smart.
Did you guys hear
What
that?
about Amazon Prime?
Hey,
I'm never going to
Trash's
Amazon.
boss, did you hear that?
Yeah, did you hear
He
that?
said,
What did I
I'm going
say?
to- he
What
said,
did I
I'm
say?
going to Max.
Oh no.
I'll just say, have you checked out Tubi? I think that might match your skills
Oh, yeah,
quite
Tubi.
well. There's some good stuff over there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was an insult to Trash or not, because I've never watched Tubi. I don't know what's on. I don't know what's on.
I hear
not
I
even
hear it's
allowed to
okay.
watch TV.
I hear it's okay. No, but seriously, like getting
like
that job
this.
was just crazy. So I'm gonna go like one step further just to the next
Yeah,
job.
okay.
So
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I was but before I graduated, IBM came and like interviewed a bunch of the seniors.
Yep.
So I was supposed to go to IBM out of college from those interviews, but they did the hiring freeze. And I was like, so I was banking on IBM. I was like, man, what the heck? So that's how I came to this job. And then get this, like, check this out. Like a year later, IBM was like, randomly emails me and was like, the hiring freeze is over. We're actually hiring and we want you to potentially come back, but you have to take like a math test and all these weird tests. Like
math test?
Yeah, so I remember
He's
I
making
had to do like
This is
some
he's
math.
making
and-
it up
no,
again.
I'm being serious. Like they give you like an hour-long test of like, it's almost like
What,
an
what
IQ
kind of
test.
math did you have to do? Hit me with some.
Probably like pre-cal at the hardest.
Pre-calc is pretty hard.
I don't remember pre-cal, but
Well, once
but
you're
to me,
done-
at the time, I was like pretty good at math. But now, I don't even know algebra at this point.
Dude, but I'm confused though, because after you're done, isn't it post-calc or no?
Shut up. No, but check this out. So it was like an IQ test. You had to
my
do you had to
God.
do shapes. You had to like finish like these patterns and all this stuff mixed in with math. And then you only had an hour. And I remember I was just sitting in my kitchen, just like sweating my
Wait, you
ass
have...
off.
Yeah, I got the same question. I got the same.
How are you taking it for an hour, but is at home?
Yeah.
It's
How do
just
you
it's just
take
an online test.
Oh, okay.
It's just
They-
an
I thought it was
it's
on
not-
paper. I thought it was
no,
on paper.
No, like
Right.
I'm not going to like a facility like I'm taking an SAT or whatever.
Yeah,
It's just an
okay.
online test.
I work on
But-
mainframes at Oracle. We're
Yeah.
assuming paper.
Yeah, but at the time, like the internet wasn't really like there's no AI. It's you can't really cheat like you can
AI's
today.
been around since the 80s, before the
Yeah.
internet. AI
Yeah.
came before the internet.
Did you know that like Looney Tunes had self-driving stuff because they thought the AI was going to come and do all that for us?
That's
So
true. But
All right, so Trash, what's our takeaway for getting your
Yeah.
first job now?
Yeah, your advice was terrible. Go on Craigslist.
Oh, was I
and
supposed to give it?
respond
I thought I was just talking about how I got my first job.
This
Let's-
is practical
No, that's
advice.
good. That's what I'm
We're-
saying. So then I'm
what's
saying,
the takeaway?
what's the
Yeah.
takeaway? What can we learn from this
takeaway
job?
is when there's a hiring freeze. Honestly, it's kind of luck, to be honest. If I'm being
That literally is not what it sounds like at all. It sounds like you were grinding on a bunch of
So,
random places to find out.
my actual
opportunities.
first job was literally like I said, it was like a miracle. Like stars aligned, it happened. IBM happened because I actually, contrary to belief, I'm kind of smart. So
a lot of contrary there.
I believe kind of smart.
yeah, but no, but really, like I think like
I believe kinda. Yeah, I believe kinda.
yeah, but like actual advice, like especially now, because it was kind of like not as bad as it is when 2008, 9, I can't remember, but like ultimately it just came up to like not giving up and just like actually believing in yourself to get jobs. Like I wasn't like the best
Cat
programmer.
buster.
I
First
clicked
of
on a
all,
programming
your
link.
advice is go on Craigslist, be smart, believe in yourself. Guys, you all have jobs now.
Yeah.
That is it.
Hey man.
I need a T-shirt with the step-by-step
Well,
guide.
well, my real advice
Trash's
was
guide to
my real
money.
advice was
Guide to money.
Godspeed.
What's happening to your microphone?
I don't even know, man. My mic came off.
He's sweaty. He's
Dude,
really
I'm
sweaty
so
right
hot in this chair. Like it's like my back is
Opening
just straight
Craigslist now.
wet.
Craigslist is about to get like a bunch more.
Craigslist.
Does Craigslist still exist?
It does still.
First of all, it
exist.
still exists. It still has 16 employees. Still killing it.
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
I don't know how many employees they actually have, but 16 is a good guess.
That is a good guess.
Yeah.
I like that. Every time they need someone else, they just apparently list it on Craigslist. So.
It's easy. It's
Yeah.
easy.
Programmer 1.
That'd be
Dude,
somebody-
I was a
Craigslist.
programmer. Dude, I don't have like a CS degree. I knew how to write an if statement, and I was like, YOLO, let's go to this interview.
I can't believe you had an interview where you had to write an if statement on paper.
Yeah, and a for loop.
I
I
love
don't even
that.
remember the language. I don't even think there was like. I think I could just like write whatever I wanted. I did like C++ in college. I think I did like
And
C++.
from that one piece of paper, Python was invented.
No.
Honestly, yeah.
Oh no.
Whether you are a Vibe coder or an artisanally free-range NeoVim user, you still need CI to build your binaries, run tests, and publish your releases. That's where Blacksmith comes in. It takes your GitHub actions and with a one-line change makes them faster and cheaper. Get your CI running on high-performance CPUs instead of GitHub's old servers. We're happy to have them as a sponsor for this episode because, just like us, this one is truly a no-brainer. Sign up and enjoy faster GitHub action workflows at a much lower price. Blacksmith, twice the speed and half the cost. Check them out at blacksmith.sh. And now back to the stand-up.
All right, Began, what about you?
Yeah.
Because you have a fun transition into tech.
Yeah, I came into tech pretty late, like when I was like 24, 25. The only thing is I will not tell what my first job is in tech because I will get kicked off the podcast again for 6 months.
Is it because of the one with my uncle?
No,
not actually
no,
my uncle,
no.
but-
I will say this:
Okay.
if we launch a Patreon only podcast, I will tell the story of my first one, but I will not do it on a public camera because it is a little sketchy. Everyone gets in the industry their own way. My first job at a company that was like actual other programmers, not selling illegal things on the internet.
Yeah.
Was I just went to Portland, Oregon, and I literally, if anyone is in Oregon like a decade ago, they might even know me. I went to every meetup. I went to JavaScript, Ruby, DevOps. There's like a Scrum manager meeting. I'm like, what's up, guys? Just cheating. I have a Scrum master. I want to see what you guys are doing. I think I went to like 3 or 4 meetups a week. And then anyone who was working on anything, I had no friends at the time. I go, what are you guys working on? Can I help? And then I would go home and just do as much of their project as I can. And be like, guys, look what I did. I helped it. I made it responsive to this or that. And then I made friends that way. And then
Okay.
it worked.
It's actually a good strategy.
This is a really good
Yes.
strategy. This is a
And
really
then
good
I kept
strategy.
going to all the meetups again and again and again, week over week. And eventually some people are like, hey, you're kind of okay. Do you want to come in for lunch and meet some of the other coworkers? And I meet some of the coworkers and then finally was like, maybe you could be a junior dev. We're hiring some junior devs. We already kind of know you. We see you at the meetups. And I was like, yeah, I'm out there. And then no joke, the first real job I got, I was applying to a ton of tech jobs. I wanted one so bad. The first one I really got, the guys were like, okay, so what did you go to school for? I'm like, jazz. And they're like,
That's not a joke.
That's
not
actually a
joke.
really good answer, too.
Not a
That's
joke.
not a
That's
joke.
a good answer.
all jazz. So I went there and they go, for real. Well, look there. There's a double bass in the corner. I play jazz. The other guy, I play sax. And so they said, great, we have a guitar here. And I played, if you guys would play jazz, I played rhythm changes. They had me actually go through rhythm changes, which is like, I've got rhythm, I've got music. If you don't know that song,
I need more to know.
I've got my...
I
If you
wanna-
don't
I
know
wanna
that song,
I want to know this. I want to know
there's
this.
1 million variations
Guitar?
of it or a bunch of jazz songs. It's like a standard. You have to
Yeah.
play. So they literally were like, let's hear you play. And they were like, you are rusty at jazz. It was bad, honestly. And they were like, hopefully your programming's better. They saw that and they go, also a little rusty at that. But they said, well, we'll give it. They literally like, you're a jazz dude. We'll give you a chance. We'll risk it.
Dang.
And I slept in the office for those first 3 months.
Oh,
And,
okay. You George Costanza.
and then they said, stop sleeping in the office. Like, you're not even getting work done. It smells worse in here.
You're just giving off bad vibes now. at
But
this
I will say,
point.
I know it doesn't work for everyone because I moved to Portland, Oregon to be like, I'm going to get a job in Ruby. I'm going to go to all the Ruby meetups,
Yeah.
the JavaScript meetups. And
Were you DHH fan at that point?
oh, he's my hero. I used to read DHH's book back then. Well, every piece of advice from DHH's book he wrote with his, what is it called?
Co-founder Jason Fried.
Exactly, Jason Fried. Every piece of advice in that book, I followed to a T. I remember it's like chapter 4, act like a drug dealer. And I was like, done. Let's do that.
I've been doing that.
Literally.
He hasn't stopped, if you're wondering.
Give him a little taste of some free code, and then
Yeah.
you say, "Yeah, I got more where that came from." And you
But
always
it's
make-
gonna cost
It's
you.
gonna cost you. No, I was reading his book obsessively over and over again, listening to every advice. Underwhelmed the competition. I haven't read this book in like seven years.
What does it mean, underwhelm the competition?
So everyone's trying to do better for the competition. Lame. Do less.
Boom.
DHH.
What does that mean?
We'll have to ask him
What does
later.
that mean?
You are friends with DHH.
We
Just
can
call
ask him.
Okay, just call him.
We'll
No,
have
no.
him come back on, and you can quiz him about the book and see how much he remembers.
Ooh,
that's actually good.
DHH, can he remember his own book?
Yeah, and what's rule number 4?
Yeah, exactly. No, I think the underwhelmed thing is like everyone's like, I'm gonna do this crazy, insane, intense, perfect experience. And everyone's like, we don't like any of this, and you spend an hour, like years
Yes.
perfecting it. You go, okay, here's something that's kind of like not that good, but it's a good idea. And it goes, genius idea. It goes, let's work on that.
It's
the-
like
fail
when,
fast.
like how in Notion, for some reason, they have like the AI search being the top thing instead of
And it
just
says
being
search
like,
also.
I want to type in the name of the thing
Yes.
and go to that page.
Yeah.
That's underwhelmed the competition, right? It's like less bells and whistles, more
Yeah.
just like straight to the point.
Okay, this makes
do
more
what they
sense.
actually like need instead of what they say they want, and definitely not what you imagine
Yeah.
that they
Oh,
want.
I'm actually giving actual practical advice. And the other thing I did for every company is in Portland, I would find the job I want to work at. I would know people that work there. I would go on. I would look at whatever their stack is, and then I would build websites with that exact stack.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's
you
super
want
smart.
TypeScript, Postgres, Redis, and I would go, fantastic. Here's my brand new website. It's a combination of TypeScript, Postgres, and Redis. And I hooked it up with,
Yeah.
try and get inside info about their stack and build on it, especially if there's like one thing that's off. Like TypeScript, everyone knows. But
Yeah.
if there's one
Yeah.
thing where it's like,
Yeah.
we also use Kafka, or we use what or something, I'm like, okay, be Kafka expert. I'm like, we just need one Kafka guy. And I'm
You
like,
accidentally read like
So good.
6 months of philosophy and stuff.
yeah. I'm so confused.
You're like, oh my goodness, how is this integrated into their stack?
So-
But that's what they said. They're a big Kafka place. Like,
Also, there is something with Kafka, like looking for bugs, turning into a bug. We're gonna work on some stuff later around this, okay?
we'll workshop
All right.
that for sure.
One thing I noticed, like, so you're saying like do like the do meetups and stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to meetups not too long ago. I felt like literally everyone there was just looking for a job, like 99%, and then maybe one recruiter. But it was like, but
dude,
mostly,
a
but mostly you were just
recruiter
sitting
walking
in.
into a meetup.
But mostly you're
Most
just sitting in
popular
circles.
person ever.
That's a joke, okay? A recruiter walks into a meetup. We've all heard that joke. Is it because meetups are no longer like a place to go? Like, is that what's happened? Is that what we're observing? So now it's just people going there for jobs.
But it's still like, okay, so imagine you're going to
both.
meetups for a long time. You make friends with other people that are looking for jobs. Some of them are going to get hired someday.
Straight
true.
up.
Right? And so
Yeah,
then,
true.
okay, so maybe it sucks. It takes 6 months to find the thing. You're applying at a lot of places. But then maybe eventually you run into your buddy who you went to meet us for a year, and he's like, bro, I got hired here.
Yeah.
Like, oh my
You
goodness, that's
should get
crazy.
hired here.
I got hired in a group of 3 juniors. It was
Yeah.
we're gonna take a risk on you 3. We became friends going to a Ruby meetup all the time,
Yep.
and that was it. They were like, "Cool, we'll risk all 3 of you." So yeah, I think it's good advice.
Was it like if one of you got
Nice.
fired, everyone was getting fired?
Oh,
was it like
100%,
love that.
100%. No, that was this was the job where it was 3. Like, I mean, I was the scrawniest, those indoor kid of all time. This is back in my
He's
time. in my
still
life.
an indoor kid.
He's
You're
still
still,
an indoor
you're still
kid.
an
You don't
indoor
Understand,
kid.
this was when I was actively saying, okay, I still can walk, but I'm going to transition into a wheelchair early. And I was honestly on this road of like, why would I want to stand ever? I could have a chair every. I'm being so serious. So,
What?
dude, why would you need to stand? What's the
That's
point
like,
of it?
like I'm not gonna pick any hobbies that I can't do when I'm 70. So I'm not gonna do any of these. I'm gonna start playing golf.
Yeah.
That was literally the thinking.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Trash, have you ever been like, oh, standing is so much fun?
I think it's more
Shut up! This is
convenient.
called a stand-up. If you make fun of stand-up one more time, I'm gonna
swear.
So
Swear.
when I started, I'm in Portland. It's like in a real hippy dippy, it's
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah.
My boss, he hired us, and he literally says, all right. It was me and 2 other guys. We're doing yogas on Tuesdays and Thursdays, working out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Everyone gets a bike. And I was like, wait, for real? I'm not a bike person. They go, you're getting a bike.
This is
You
you as a
became a
software
bike
engineer.
person.
And I became
You're
a
a
bike
bike
person.
boy.
I became a yoga person. I
You solved Rubik's cubes on the way to work on your bike. Like,
Exactly. But I got forced by my boss. Literally
So-
says, do it. And I said, what? He goes, you'll be fired.
So he's the reason why you have fake teeth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you guys
He's
don't know-
the reason that you thought you got cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait,
yeah,
what?
Exactly.
Yeah, big.
Do you want to know the story?
No, he
Of
doesn't
course
need to
I
hear a
wanna know.
story.
Yeah, you
I've
gotta
been
tell
in-
a story. You gotta tell a
can't
story.
just
You
say
gotta-
that.
I think many people, some people know my lore. I've been in a lot of bike
Just no,
accidents.
no.
Don't.
Tell it the right way.
Yeah,
I
big.
don't know. I've told this too.
No,
Okay,
you
here's
know
all
the
there is
way
to it,
that
okay?
it's funniest.
Yeah.
So I like to ride around in Portland, Oregon on my bike a lot. I do not like to follow any of the rules, right? I do not like to have lights on I like to be dressed in all black. I want to blend in. Stop sign, don't know what those are. Zip fast.
Those
before
are for
the-
cars.
Zip
Yeah,
fast for the
it's
car.
true, it's
So
true.
and also I'm a big fan of doing Rubik's cubes, doing work on my bike. I like to get stuff done. I'm a multitasker, so I like to solve a cube with this.
This
that.
is actually true
They
so
get
far.
so mad when I do
This
this.
is
These are all
Insane.
things that are true.
So in Portland, I'm doing this. I'm biking home, going a million miles an hour, and I just ran a stop sign, and a car was going through the stop, or a truck as they were supposed to, and they T-boned me, and
Yep.
I flew into the air, and then a million,
As one does, yeah,
and
as
a
they get
million
T-boned.
Portlanders, families surrounded the van and said, "We saw you. You hit that guy. He's."
They were against the truck
The
guy.
truck driver.
Because
Yeah.
it's Portland, right? So
Yeah,
bikers
yeah,
are always
yeah.
right.
Wait, so he didn't have a stop sign. You ran
No,
the stop sign.
yes,
ran
it
a
was
stop sign.
1,000% his fault.
My-
1,000% his
so
fault.
my
In
fault.
black.
Yeah.
So my fault. Probably
Yeah.
probably on my phone, cubing. And so I got hit, they all surround him, and then they're like,
Cubing.
don't let him get away. And then they called cops over. And I'm like kind of injured, you know what I mean?
They came in to find you because you're in all black. You're like, where'd he
Yeah,
go?
no, I was in the
Where'd the guy go? We just
Oh, I was definitely
He's disintegrated.
so I was in the middle. I was definitely in the middle of the street, and then they stopped the guy. And then finally, the cops go, "Oh, what happened?" They go, "Oh, I'm an idiot, and I ran a stop sign, and that truck hit me." And the truck driver was like, "Thank God! Oh my God! There's a mob
Like,
of
he
people."
almost, like, the truck driver almost got his, like, license taken
Yeah,
away.
the
Yeah.
mob was gonna. They're like,
Citizen's
"Bikers
arrest.
good."
It was about to be a citizen's
Yeah.
arrest.
So then obviously I said, "Hey cops, my bike got destroyed. It got destroyed. I need help getting home." They took me home, and everything was good. I went
How
to-
fast was he going?
It's pretty fast. Pretty
Mostly, how fast was he going?
Like, how did you go home
Oh, he
after
was
this and not to the
bombing.
No,
hospital?
he picked no hospital.
Yeah,
They put me in the cop
Those are
car.
big
Megan doesn't go to the hospital
afraid
since
of
the
them.
accident.
They don't go to hospitals.
Yeah.
So they put the put my back in the cop car. We go home. I go to bed. Everything's good. The next day, I go to wake up and I can't walk anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't have the ability to walk. I wake up, and my legs are bruised, this big, purple, like, and I cannot walk. And so I'm like, okay, it's fine. I'm a programmer. I'll just work from home from now on. So I work from home from now on. But then over the next couple of weeks, I developed ball cancer. So over the next couple of weeks, I slowly started having very intense pain in my testicles. And so obviously I got on Google and I found out that, I
Yeah.
probably have ball cancer. So
That was the top result for his symptoms. So he types in
Yeah.
the symptoms like,
My balls
I'm-
hurt, cancer.
It's GG. Well, but there's a reason why he thought that it was. Speaking, why did you think that it was probably testicular cancer?
well, I looked up and says, okay, my balls hurt. It could be
Yeah.
ball cancer, and I said, okay, great. Are you wearing tight pants? I'm like, oh, I have the tightest pants you've ever seen in your life. So,
As
were-
tight as they go in Portland, he got tighter.
They were
You know what I'm
skin
saying?
tight. So I said, okay, no big deal. I work from home, so I just will not wear pants for a couple weeks. So I just stopped wearing pants. Which
To
means I
fix
was
the cancer.
Which is pretty good
That'll
because
work,
he
that'll
thought he
work.
had cancer,
Cancer.
so he quit wearing pants.
so I worked
As
in a
one does.
robe.
That's one naturally.
I think a robe over a week. I was in a robe, but I'm not joking. Over the week, the pain was getting worse and worse until like I couldn't get out of bed anymore.
Yeah.
And so I was assuming probably the laptop on the balls were really causing more cancer.
Yeah,
they huge?
Wi-Fi, the
Were they
Wi-Fi
big?
radiation.
No, they
yeah.
just
Never
hurt-
have
they-
been, so-
no, they're getting smaller. No, it hurt so. And finally, I was like, okay, cool. It's been 3 weeks. I'm gonna die of cancer. I might as well go to the doctor. And so
Yeah.
I finally scheduled my first doctor appointment ever. Went there and I said, "Hi, man. Like, my balls really hurt. Can you help me out here?" And he
I
goes,
have cancer.
I know. I said I have testicular cancer. I confirmed it on WebMD. I read all of the things.
I
here.
love that you're telling the doctor that you
Oh, I
have
definitely
cancer.
told him I confirmed
have
it.
cancer. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, he, you have to get in. If you haven't gone through this trash, they have to fondle you a lot naked to find this out. So you get naked and he fondles your balls, and then he says, "How does that feel?" And you say, "Very weird."
and also painful.
And then he asks the greatest question. He says, "Were you in any recent trauma?" I go, "Yes, I was hit by a car." He goes, "Did you come to the hospital?" I go, "Of course I didn't." And he goes, "You're an idiot. You crushed your penis tube in a bike accident. You have to come to the hospital." When you
Wait,
do this."
so it wasn't cancer. You just
No, he just thought
I just
that
smashed
it was because he was
Yeah,
got
so-
hit by a car.
So that was the last time I went to the doctor. That was a decade ago, and I stayed there all day. We
a
did
decade ago. Oh, that's not that long
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, not that bad. We did every test too. I got the rest of them. I was there. I said, okay, we're gonna do this once. So I stayed
Get
there
them
all
all.
day. I said more blood. I tried to get that MRI thing, and they were like, you can't get that. Like,
What about a CAT scan? Did you get a
So-
CAT scan?
so that's the start of me getting it. Oh yeah, I got a CAT scan. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I started in
Okay.
Oregon, where I started getting into major bike accidents, and it continued all the way to LA. And
But getting
Major
getting
bike
a job.
accident. Major-
All right,
That's
fine.
an insane story.
No. I don't think we're done yet. I don't think
no,
we're
back
done
to
yet.
jobs.
Do you have any other practical advice?
Okay. So I think a lot of people, they have a problem where if you are in a city that has meetups, because I always tell people, just do what you do in Portland, Oregon, or San Francisco. Go to a meetup every day.
Yeah.
You know the meetups you have. So obviously, if you don't have that, you got to go online. The
Yep.
problem is when people go online, they go to like the town square. They go to Twitter. Think about
Yeah.
going in the middle of New York, like Times Square, and be like, I'm going to make some friends here. Who wants to be friends? It's like, you're not going to do it. So,
They're not good at it either.
no, and it doesn't work. I've tried to make friends at Times Square, okay? That naked cowboy, he was nice, and then he charges you. I'm like, dude, we're vibing. No, so like, you have to find, well, I call them like online communities, online neighborhoods, where if you're interacting regularly, you meet someone. So like, recently I was doing like some like Ratatouille stuff, little Ratatouille.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you pop in there like, oh, look, there's a Discord for this. Wow, there's not that many people here. If you just chat here for a month or so and make some cool project, these people know you. And then one of them might have a Rust job. You're trying
That's
to get
true.
a Rust job and whatnot. So like, I think people, they immediately go to Twitter and like, hi, I'm a developer. Why is no one seeing me? It's like, you got to pick a smaller online area. And that usually is like GitHub issues for a project, Discord, Slack.
And it
That was
can't
real
be.
advice.
It can't be like
that was good
you
advice.
do that for 1 week and then you're like, hey guys, where's my job?
Yes, 100%.
It needs to be like you're just doing cool stuff because you're excited about it and doing them, and then like it might be that one leads you to a job, it might not be, but it can't be like this sort of quid pro quo. Like I'm putting in this time, and one of you guys better hire me, or I'm gonna have a
True.
meltdown.
No, yeah. You never, desperate kills you a lot
Yes,
of times.
yeah.
Also, don't come in too hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, conversations
Yeah.
can't be so transactional where, like, I'm being your friend because I want a
Yeah,
job
totally,
from
totally.
you.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be, like, very personable and
Perhaps be
human.
interested in the technology
Yeah,
itself.
exactly.
Would be
Well,
would
it's
be a
best
good
if
first
it's
step.
like it's some employable technology and you're passionate about it. So then you're doing something, you can be learning skills and doing all of this other stuff. And then maybe what comes from that is like an offer or a relationship or
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
It can't just be, I see that Next.js is the thing to get hired for. So I'm going to go hang out on their
Yeah, yeah.
forums a little, and then I'm going to instantly reply every time someone says something bad about Next.js, and I'm going to be the Next.js defender.
Dude, it's so crazy. You just reminded me. With the crew that I was, when I got to find this crew too, in Portland, I was like, all juniors were getting hired for. One of them
Yeah.
was like, open source is the key. Watch this. He built a little piece of code that went through GitHub repos, looked for spelling mistakes, fixed them. And he's like, I've contributed over 500 repos this month. And he was like, I'm kind of an open source god. You're only working on just NeoVim. Oh, Okay, I guess you're not really an open source guy. I have over 500 commits on separate projects. And it was like, dude, I don't think you're learning anything. You're just
He did
Everyone
build the bot
hates
though.
you.
That
He built
that
the
bot
bot.
is very impressive.
Yeah.
built a bot. Also, I shouldn't tell everyone this, but you guys know that you can just write a script. You can just code and have your GitHub show whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, you do not have to actually code every day. You can have it say whatever you
They have like those scripts that make like design.
Exactly.
They'll
Don't
make
make
spell
yeah.
stuff. That's when it's cool. You like spell it with dark green, and you're like trash.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know if I'm gonna do that.
Trash dead because you run out of room.
Yeah.
Trash dead.
Trash D.
Trash D. What?
I don't get it. Trash D.
Okay. They're gonna
All
say
right.
trash D's.
So, well, T should just share a story. 'Cause I already,
Yeah.
first of all, if you guys don't know, T's one of the few programmers I knew. He was like a D1 recruit. I mean, like, what? You got a Chevy, and
A
they had
D1 recruit?
Yeah.
What does
Oh,
that
no,
mean?
D1.
I can't
They
talk
were
about
offering
that.
him
They're
all
gonna
this
they're
stuff.
gonna take away my trophy if I do
Oh
that.
shoot! Oh, sorry, you're not allowed to actually.
Yeah. This was before they let the NCAA like pay
Yeah,
college kids,
yeah.
you know.
You're like the real deal for all of this.
But that's not how I got any of my first jobs.
Well, then prove us wrong.
Tell us more.
He had
Tell
top
us
offers
more.
from every firm. Okay, McKinsey.
So I got my first job out of school working at Epic Medical Health Records Company,
Not
Fortnite.
Fortnite. Not Fortnite.
I have
That's
to say it
so
every
lame.
time because I know there's some percentage
You
of
worked on
people that were
Fortnite?
like,
Dude,
Teach
you
was
worked at
early at Fortnite. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, no, that was when Prime was streaming Fortnite, and I was not there. So
It's true. I was streaming Fortnite.
no, so the medical health records place. I got there. I mean, like pretty much more or less, the normal way. They came to like a job fair at my school. I got in contact with them, did interviews while I was in school.
Wait. Job fairs are normal? I've never been to one.
Yeah,
Really?
but that's because you didn't go to anything at school.
You went
They
to
have
jazz
them.
school. They don't have job fairs for
Yeah,
jazz.
I went to job fairs all the time. It's called the club. Okay?
I thought it was gonna be. They had Starbucks at my school.
they had job fairs. Yeah.
They had job fairs at my school. They were always advertising they needed baristas.
Wait, did you all went to job fairs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You been to a job fair, Trash?
No,
Me?
he got his on
No,
Craigslist.
but
But
in
I
life-
have been at job fairs like when I was in
I thought
college.
that
Yeah.
was a TV thing. I didn't know those were real.
But it was kind of like, have you seen the job fair like in the office?
That's what
Where
I
it's
know
like
the job fairs from.
Yeah, you
no,
kind of just
TJ,
like.
correct the record, TJ.
I mean, it can be that. Like, people.
I did not
for
go
me,
to a
like-
great school, so that's probably why our job fair was.
I mean, I
pretty
went to
pro.
like it was not like Ivy
think-
League. Like,
Yeah,
name or
yeah.
But it was
anything
D1. Okay, he was the D1
no, it was
programmer.
D3,
He came in.
but that's fine.
D1 recruit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, it was basically like the job fair part wasn't that important, really. About it was just like I applied online and went through the stuff and got hired there. But the like more interesting one is when I wanted to get my first remote job, because I was just like a random Midwest dude who worked at a company with like all technology from the 70s that was completely irrelevant to every other job. It was like a weird NoSQL scripting language.
You pretty
called
much
Mumps.
trash dev is what you're trying to say.
It was
Green
like
screen
trash, except
programming.
we didn't have to do tapes, so maybe it was more advanced. I mean, it was a different era between me and trash. You know what I'm saying? So
10 years later,
10
no
years
tapes.
later, it's literally a different decade.
Tapes gone. Tapes are gone.
So I wanted to get a remote job, but I didn't know anybody. I hadn't even really done very much contributing to NeoVim. I definitely was
You
not.
hadn't even contributed to NeoVim yet.
Yeah. Well, contrary to Began's take, I was not like most of the way to like being known for open source or anything like that. I was just
What was the first open source project you contributed to?
Yeah.
NeoVim.
There you go, guys. Everyone, imagine that. What's your first open source project? Oh, just an editor used by literally tens
It
of
wasn't
people.
as popular back then.
Okay, shut
Tens
up.
of people. But the way that I got my first remote job, which maybe is like more relevant for lots of people there, is one, you have to find ways, especially if you have sort of like, mine was, I would say like somewhat traditional of a resume, but not super helpful because I didn't have any experience in any of the technologies that I wanted to do. So it's definitely getting screened.
Well, you just
like
put your
in a lot
Stack
of places.
Overflow rank on there, right?
I definitely was not answering stuff on Stack Overflow at the
Why
time
not?
either. Because it's lame.
It was not lame 10 years ago, okay?
I'm
Stack
not gonna lie. I
Overflow
try to
was
get my
very
reputation
competitive
up.
back then.
I try to get my reputation
Oh,
up.
I was working on my rep until I got, and this is true, I got an entire WeWork IP ban from Stack Overflow. Oh,
Can we,
people...
can we come back?
We'll
to
go
that?
back
Can we
and
come
keep
back?
Let's table that. We're gonna
Okay,
circle
come back to
back.
that.
We're gonna circle back. So I had a resume that probably would not be super helpful at getting a job at anywhere that I wanted to get
Yeah.
hired at. So you need to find a way to get a like personal email that is posted somewhere online. So that could be
True.
Hacker News who's hiring. That could be like some smaller site like AngelList.com at the time I think it was called, or like I don't know what any of the startup ones are. Now you need some way to get a like person email that you can email directly and make your pitch for why you're a good fit for the company. That then means, and I did this for probably at least 100 companies would be
Wow.
my guess, before I got one interview, and then I got an interview and got hired at
Dang.
that place. So that was good. But like,
Dang,
you have to
100.
go. Because I remember doing it literally for probably like 2 or 3 months because I wanted to move back home.
Yeah,
So I could
yeah.
be close to my family again. And so like every night, that's what I was doing, was finding new companies, doing this, and then you need to go and like, what's their company mission? What's their stack that you're interested in doing? What's their like values? What are cool things that they've done? And then write, not ChatGPT, write your own pitch for why you match those the best. Like I literally got through the first door because I talked about this one place like, hey, we really like empathy. I wrote about how Kayleen and I were going and volunteering at this thing like on, and how it was really cool, and I learned a lot about other people. And they're like, oh, that's interesting. That's the unique thing that said, yeah, we'll give you a shot. And then that's the place that I got hired at.
Yeah, if you apply for like a CRM, you're like, dude, me and my wife passionate about managing customers' data, and like
Exactly.
that's what we do every night. And like,
Every night I go home, I make my own little spreadsheet.
whatever, just lie and say you're
Yeah.
passionate about.
Yeah.
Me and my wife are passionate about customers' data.
Yeah. And you guys can at home say they don't care about values. Somebody at the company does. And it
Someone
might be,
put it on there.
and it might be the person whose email is there. And at the very least, it shows that you know something about that company. That already puts you above 95% of the other people, because 95% of the other people are just spraying and praying. They're just sending resumes every place they can, especially now.
True.
I'm going to sign up for AI automated shooting at my thing everywhere to write a book. If you can do anything, every single little thing you can do that does one unique aspect about you might be
100%.
the foot
Yeah.
in the door that you need to get the first job. Because like I'm saying, I was a
True.
random guy from the Midwest using an outdated tech stack, and I got hired by a cool like startup that did Python, which is what I
That
wanted
made
to do at the
Fortnite? Oh,
time.
sorry.
That made Fortnite.
Is programming Fortnite just random Midwest, dude?
Yeah. So that's my like, you got to find some way to represent yourself uniquely, right? And especially if you can find a way to match that into what the company does. That's the best advice that's the advice that worked best.
I don't think I've ever wrote a. Not saying you shouldn't. But I just don't think I've ever wrote a cover letter, nor have I really read them when someone did send me one.
You should write a cover letter.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's
Yeah,
advice.
no,
I'm
I
just
know,
saying
I'm
like,
saying- yeah.
like I feel like for the jobs when I was like reviewing resumes, I always just go straight to like the experience. I'm like,
Yeah.
do you hit all these marks? I'll be honest,
Really?
I don't ever read the cover letters.
I can't remember the last time I read a resume.
I mean, the
Well,
last.
you guys are probably the wrong people to ask, anyways.
Well,
I mean, I think it depends on like the level too, right? It's like if I'm
Yeah.
interviewing for seniors, I just go straight to the experience.
no, it's like it depends. It's like if I'm looking for someone more junior, right?
Yeah.
It's riskier, no matter
Yep.
what. We're gambling more,
Yep.
and so if I'm gambling more, I'm gonna pull in more piece of information data. Like
Yep.
someone in the chat mentioned, like writing a blog. I see a junior has written a blog. It's just like, ooh, bumps up a little bit. Now that doesn't matter as much for senior person. I'm like, what is your code? How are you contributing?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the junior person's like, oh, they show initiative.
But
They're
like,
showing something.
if I can get a big signal from something that they send to me that
Yeah.
the senior is a pleasant person to work with, that they have skills to work on a team. I don't care if you write awesome code and everyone hates your guts. I don't want to work on your team.
100%.
We don't want to hire you. You're going to tank our
True.
company's culture. You're going to trash all the code. You're going to be the 155 IQ Haskeller who abstracts everything into the clouds, and then our company gets tanked because we get lapped by the people writing JavaScript and putting as any. Like, and they're
You don't
hap-
do as any in JavaScript.
can.
Nice try.
You can in bun. You can. So, right. So it's like those are important like signals you can send, especially if you're like angling for a new stack or you're angling somewhere else or you have some non-traditional like background for the job you're hiring. So like for me, I would way rather see a signal that this is like a good person to work with, that they have social skills that work well on our team, than it is like, oh, I see they've worked at wherever.
Well, I hate to
Yeah.
say this. One thing I see online the most, people are like, "Oh my god, everyone's always like, your network gets you hired. I've been in tech for 20 years, that hasn't worked for me." And I always go, "You're tattling on yourself. You're the exact one who's like,
That's a self-report.
Yeah.
Sorry
Dude,
to tell you.
TikTok sucks. It's nothing but young girls dancing half naked. What? It's an algorithm. It's like a lot of people don't realize that. Yeah, you messed up a bunch multiple times. with
You've hit heart on the wrong TikToks, then, buddy.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's something going on here.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, because you meet people, and if you're actually a pleasure to work with and you do a good job, people want to work with you again.
Yeah.
Even if they're at a different place or whatever.
It also depends like what kind of company you're going for. Because
Yep.
I mostly come from like startups, and in startups,
same.
it's like, okay, it's smaller. We might end up with some weekends and some nights.
Yep.
If I'm gonna be with someone on my weekends on a Saturday night,
Yep.
I gotta like them more.
Yep.
Like the more I'm gonna spend time with you in
Yep.
off hours, the more you need to be cool. So I think it's easier sometimes to be like, quote unquote, the personality hire that's a little bit like rougher, and then prove yourself versus
Yeah, that's
in a company.
true. That's a good point, because that's where I was
Yeah.
like looking to get hired, was a smaller company doing
Mm.
remote work, doing more of a different stack and stuff like that. So I like that sort of writing a cover letter, finding a real person to get an email there. Like those are ways that I think you can get help. What about you, Brian?
Hey, thank you you didn't even finish your sentence, and you're.
I know, but I was
and,
excited.
You know,
I was like, I don't have anything else to say.
I think I got a little bit slightly different advice than you
Okay.
guys. I kind of took a more non-traditional route. First off,
Start with Fortnite.
I was
then,
25 when I graduated from college, and no, I was not a doctor. Okay, some of us take a little bit longer to get through, the old college.
Yep.
And so what I did is that the very first thing I did is I tried to make my own company. I just thought that was
Obviously.
literally, I think every person my age was so affected by the Social Network when that movie dropped. You're like 24 years old, and it's just like,
I
this
want to be
guy's,
the Zug.
dude, this guy's just like, I did it. Screwed
Yeah.
all my friends and made $1 billion. And I'm like, I could be this guy.
That could
you
be
know?
me.
That could be
Wait,
me.
what?
My plan is to be
You're
the
telling me
Eduardo.
that's your motivation?
Yeah.
You have to rethink this
No,
partnership.
no one's Eduardo. Okay,
Yeah.
no one wants to be him. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that got me all pumped up about like I could make anything I want.
Yeah.
And so I spent years doing that, and when it inevitably failed, which it did, by the
Yeah.
way. Trash, can you not adjust your mic during my talk? This is my soliloquy.
It's fine. The recording.
I know,
they're not
don't worry.
gonna
I'm just
know.
talking about the
recording.
live audience.
Hello,
okay?
YouTube. You can
Yeah,
hear us
yeah.
nice, loud, and clear later.
Yeah, later.
Sorry, Twitch. You guys are awesome.
Awesome, Twitch.
Yeah.
Also YouTube and Twitter if you're there. So
Yeah, we don't know actually.
So
Anyways.
that's kind of like one of my big first things is that I think to be employable, it's really great to have done something yourself. Because I have
be
like a
helpful.
well to draw on. So I spent 2 years being so broke that me and my wife got in an argument, like a heated, is this the end? Are we getting a divorce? Because she wanted to buy almond butter. And I'm like, girl, we don't have money to do that.
I got almond butter money.
We don't got almond butter
Actually, still
money.
fighting with her about that.
Yeah, I know. Actually, TJ was over when she brought up that one, and she was just like, "We could have done it." And I'm like, "I don't think we could have." Like, we will still fight about that one. But it's very true. It's like we were so broke, and we just did this for so long. And then when I finally said, "Okay, I need to get a job," I felt like it was a lot easier in the sense because everyone I talked to, I could just like talk about what I did, and I had this skill, which I think anyone can have this skill, which is you find the job you want to work for. You figure out the stories of your own life that match what that job is. And when they say, hey, tell me something about yourself, you're like, I got a story that's going to line up with their tech stack, that's going to line up with their mission, and I'm about to drop the story so that they like are obligated to ask follow-up questions. I'm going to steer the conversation this entire time because I'm the owner of this conversation. They're trying to get information from me. And so I'd always just figure out everything I want to say. When I went and interviewed at Netflix, I did the exact same thing. Read the entire culture deck, came up with like 5 separate questions, and when someone would come in, I'd be like, boom, you say that you want like A players, and if there's a B player, you give an A grade severance. Like, what does that mean for work-life balance? Because does that mean I'm working all day, every day? Because you also claim 40 hours a week. So how can you be all those things, right? And just like challenge them on every single point when they'd ask a question. I was never afraid to challenge them even on the question. Like when someone, again, this was at Netflix. I've called people stupid in multiple interviews. I'm not recommending you do that, but it is sometimes worth it if you already feel you have a
As
really
you
good
as the
rapport.
interviewee or the interviewer?
The interviewee. And someone was just like, oh, because they asked me like, what would you change about our product? I said, the Xbox search is super terrible. Again, I learned everything about the product. I went and used it. I never once touched Netflix in my entire lifetime until I got an interview. I watched all of Battlestar Galactica in like 2 weeks and used the product every single day for like 6 hours.
How
a day
did
trying
you
to
get them to mail you all those DVDs at the time? That's crazy.
this was 2013, tough guy. They had streaming, okay?
know,
They
but-
already went through Quickster. No, shut up. And so then what I do is that when they asked me about that, someone actually had the gall to be like, our Xbox search is not that bad. And I said, false. It is the worst product you have ever created. And here's why it's terrible. And like went on like a whole thing, told them how not only could they change it, what would be better, how you would measure it would be better versus the old one. I came up with time, from search to play. What is that distance? How many successful searches are they doing? Are they giving up? Like came up with every possible thing. And so that way I came in prepared, pre-primed, ready just to rock on any question because I knew I was going to get a bunch of these type of questions. And so it's like, this is what I want to change about your company. This is what I think I can do really good for you. Here's a story about what you guys do, and this is why I would be good to be there. Like I was so focused at every single company I did. And then I do research. So the first job I ever got, the person that worked there, I found his brother, and me and his brother had a common link.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, what kind of questions do they ask there? And he's just like, dude, they love this, the crystal ball, you have a crystal ball, you have two of them, you need to find out when they break so you can drop it down these stairs. But the moment it breaks, how do you find the next step as fast as possible, right? Like, how do you know where it actually breaks at? The answer is simple. You have to drop its square root of n. And then when it breaks, you only have to back up square root and then linearly go through square root of n. And so it's actually the fastest way, because if you did it with binary, if you went halfway down and dropped it, it broke. You'd have to do half of n search. So I knew all this and I came in on it. And they actually tried to tell me it was the log n thing. And I was just like, here's why you're wrong. Broke it all down. Like, this is actually how you do your problem. Like, I researched the
would've failed that
crap out of the
interview.
problem. Dude, I was
would've failed.
I was so ready for the problem
worry,
because I
Josh,
went
we'll-
to all this
we'll- we'll-
research. Dude, I was just like out there. I was just ready. And I'd find out everything I can.
Yeah.
And the jobs I didn't do that on, which I can think of one was Oracle. Back then it was Right Now Technologies, and the other one was Google.
He didn't figure out how to wear
I
khakis,
didn't.
right?
I literally, when I didn't read the Google like manifesto for hiring, which says read cracking the coding interview. I didn't read it. Did not get the job the first time. The second time, I read the manifesto. It said read this book. I read the book. I was asked 3 questions right out of the book.
Yeah.
Passed it. Walked right in. Got
Yeah.
in. And it's just like, this is so stupid. Like, why just read? Just do the thing. And so
That's what I'm saying. That's like very similar to
Yeah.
like the advice I'm
Yeah,
saying. It's just you
research.
have to do the research and then find ways to show that you did it.
yeah.
Just showing that you're interested at all
Yeah.
in working at that place. Okay, you're already better than 90% of the people that
Yeah.
are applying, right? Because they're just like, well, I'll work anywhere. I'll do whatever. You're like, okay, well, I want to work here.
Yeah.
My work will look like I care.
Yeah.
Okay, dude, that's already better than a bunch of people they hired. You know, like,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I did have one other thing that was
Yeah, go ahead.
that I did do career fairs, and our career fairs were okay. We had like 2 or 3 tech companies because it was Bozeman, Montana. There's
Yep.
virtually no one there,
Yep.
but I found out everything about those companies, and I came in just hot.
Yep.
I'd find them, I would talk to them, I would just sell it. In
Yep.
fact, one of the offers I got to work at Underwater Warfare in Seattle was because I made the strongest eye contact. She said no one in my grade made eye contact, and I just looked her in the eye and talked to her the entire time. And at the end of it, she's like, you know what? I'm going to say yes to you because you looked me in the eye the entire time. And I was just like, yeah,
And guess
unbroken.
What company is that?
Power.
Because I will be suing them for ableism. Okay, the autist will take that company down. I will.
him and the Portlandia
We
gang.
will sue them.
Portlandia about
Yeah.
to shut
Okay,
that
so
place
real
down.
quick, Prime's advice was watch all of Battlestar Galactica.
All of Battlestar Galactica.
Stalk people, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. Find out everything you can, and then craft your stories around that so that they have to ask you follow-ups.
Craft your stories, and then also memorize all the buy stolen answers of what they're gonna leak.
Dude, if somebody's willing to tell you what they're going to talk, I mean, that's what leak code is today.
Yeah,
Leak
yeah.
code is just like, hey, I heard this. I heard they asked this question. So just like I memorize all the questions. I just learn them all. One other thing that I thought was super, super duper good to do is that when you get the chance to talk to somebody, come up with questions.
Yes.
Like just
Never
like
be the guy that
I
goes
hate
and
it.
doesn't.
when
no
you have
questions at the
5
end.
minutes left and they ask you that, you should have like 2 or 3 questions and practice it with somebody in real life.
Yeah.
That's like a huge thing I do is I'd be like, hey,
And
you're
it can't just be like, do
Tell me
you
about it.
like working at here? Like,
Yeah.
But
that
I'd
can't be the
actually grab my
question.
college
Yeah.
whatever you call them cohort, and I'd actually ask them like, hey, I need you to ask me these questions. I need you to try to give me a mock
Yeah.
interview because I want to be the best there is. I want to train for this.
Yeah.
I RPG'd it. I was like my stats way high on the question.
RPG, that's what Trash was writing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Me
You
and
ever heard
Trash.
of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. RPG's RPG 4 too.
Yeah.
Wow, they
So I will say on the question side, like especially if you're a junior, because I know I've done we probably all like interviewed a lot of people.
Yep.
I'm looking for a junior who is asking questions about how are they going to learn and be mentored.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because okay, you're not God programmer. So
Yeah.
if they ask like, hey, how does it work? How do we do? Do we do pair code reviewings? When do we do learning times? Do we have refactor Fridays or what? If they're not asking questions about how they elevate their skills, you're like, uh-oh, that's a problem. If they ask, you don't have to say like, oh, you're a genius now. You're like, look, you're asking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like
True.
it shows that they're going to be willing to like take code review or like some suggestion on the PR.
Yes.
And be like, okay, I will change it so that it can be good. You do not want to be the junior who's saying, well, actually, I learned it at school. You guys are all wrong, blah, 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 all the time, right?
I've been that junior.
Yeah.
I have been that junior.
Sometimes you're right. But also sometimes,
You've been wrong more often.
but
than not.
also, dude, software is also a social game. Like you're working with people, you're making stuff together.
Team sport.
So sometimes
Team sport.
Sometimes the
And energy
technically
sports.
right answer is the wrong answer for the company. Because you got to burn too many bridges or spend too much social capital or get the wrong person angry. Sometimes you just say, that's okay. We can make the wrong one here. Maybe you tell your boss, hey, I think this isn't the greatest, so you can have it down later, so you're not the one that gets framed for how it turns out in 6 months when it was wrong or whatever. But
Yep.
so it's like sometimes you just got to do that, and that's okay. And can you be that junior, right? Or can you be that person at the company? You can give signals by asking your questions about learning and all this other stuff that will give a strong signal. Like every time I've had a really where the interviewer or interviewee who's a junior and is asking a good question, I've always said basically yes. I don't think I've ever had one where for a junior role and they were asking questions, even if they like messed up parts of the other coding thing, I'm like, still, yeah, they're ready to learn, they're ready to be mentored, they're ready to get better.
He just like too chatty. Pass.
Too chatty.
I've actually struggled interviewing interns and juniors because, especially when they're all like, I want to learn, and I'm willing to do it, and then I'm like, shit, I don't have like I'm always looking for a differentiator, like, you know what I mean? Because like I can, at this point, everyone has given advice like, you got to be eager to learn. You want to grow. So everyone.
Well, you'd be surprised.
But I've definitely had like bad.
That's shocking because I've had a lot of opposite
I
experience.
have a lot of bad ones, but when they're good, it's like, man, like how do I like discern them? How do I pick them up? Do I use, GitHub contributions or, obviously there's a consensus usually the interview with multiple people and we go from them, but sometimes it's like, man, they were both like so passionate, really eager to learn. Like how do we pick one? And it almost just feels like not like we're actually flipping a coin, but like it's almost to that effect. Like it's I could work with either one. Like I can't make this decision. Like
that's when you just say, boss, you got to decide. They both get a yes from me. So.
I've had jobs where our goals with interviewing is actually to try and push the person past their knowledge to see how they act. That is the goal. So we just take one topic and you're going deeper, deeper, deeper. And you're trying to, I want them to say, ooh, actually, I don't really know that. Here's what I think maybe. Here's how I'd research. And it's so funny because half the people, good developers, are like, oh, I don't know. Here's how I'd research. And the others go, so check it out. It's, it's probably, and they start lying.
My favorite interview that,
Dude, that's real.
That I had actually at the place, my first remote job, when I'd done all this stuff, the last stage of the interview was pair programming. It's a small company, so like with the founder, right? Because it's just small, right? So it's like, okay, so you're like, oh my goodness.
Laugh at pair programming. It's not funny. It's a real technique.
Yeah, but so we just
No,
picked.
it's not.
They pick a random, like, crazy competition programming problem that he doesn't know how to solve. And we tried to solve it together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
And we didn't solve it. We worked on it for an hour. We didn't know what the solution was. We did not know what the solution is when we were done.
I actually love
a
that.
good
That's
one.
actually kind of fun.
And it was
It's
like,
like neither of us are going to solve it, but let's try.
right? And he was
cool.
he was giving some ideas. I was giving some ideas, right? And like it was totally fine. We got to the end, and it was very obvious we could work together.
Right.
Because when you're at your job,
Totally.
you don't know what the answer is. That's the whole point of the company most of the
Totally.
time.
Yes.
You're iterating on new ideas.
I
Right? So that
sometimes know the answer.
yeah, but a lot of the time, but even if you know what the
we're calling
answer
it-
is to this solution, you always don't know how do we get better. I mean, maybe a Netflix.
Don't
If
argue
you know
it.
the,
Don't
if you
argue
know
it.
the answer, we're automating you away. You're getting fired. I read the Netflix Jack. I know how it works.
Yeah. A severance coming your way, buddy.
So that's obviously hard because you can't do it for everybody when they first come in.
Yeah.
But like as a final pass for an interview, that was one of my favorite. That was probably my favorite interview process I ever did. Was that first one, and
That's super
I
cool.
really liked that because both of us didn't know. So I also got to see, do I like working with you?
Oh, yeah.
When I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh,
I mean, I
totally.
was desperate, so I was going to take it either way. But like,
But that is a very
I just
good
need
note.
you on my resume.
People don't often
Yeah.
think about this, that an interview isn't just them seeing if they want to hire you. It's
Yeah.
also, do you like these people?
Yep.
Like, do you actually want to work with these people? Because I've had interviews where I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to work with this guy.
Yeah.
This guy's like,
Yeah.
this is not going to work out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say for the like when you're trying to find out if you like a person or not, like when you go back and forth, I like to think of it a bit of like a date, you know, and that's why the eye contact's important. That's why you got to share some things about yourself that are gonna be maybe not the most, you know. I'm a little weird to be honest. I don't want to get hired. Okay, no, not the, just a little. I don't want to get hired and then be like, what? He's eccentric, right? It's like I'm going to have a bad time. So it's like
Everybody would be having a bad time.
So you kind of want to, you gotta show them. You're trying to show them like, I hope this works out good because you're gonna really hate me if you don't, and you shouldn't feel bad if you're like, you know,
Yeah.
if they're gonna not hire me because I'm loud, then I don't want to work there. I do not want to be at the company. So
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. That's good. You should really tell your story about how you got Stack Overflow banned for an entire.
And then we'll wrap it
So
up.
if you guys don't know Stack Overflow, back in the day, this is an old website. This is pre-ChatGPT, so this is like forever ago. When you wanted to find out why code was broken, you go to Stack Overflow, the most like 6th most viewed website of the internet at the time.
Yeah.
So if you guys didn't know, this was back when I was really trying to be a DevOps boy. I was running a DevOps meeting.
Okay.
Everything HashiCorp was doing, oh my god!
This is post Ruby during your Go phase.
Switch to Go.
Yep.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
DHH no longer my hero. Mitchell Hashimoto is my new hero. I'm gonna be like him now.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like literally every time there was a Terraform update, I was read it every day. So I'm trying to be a good contributor on Stack Overflow, answer answers, and I'm giving the best answers possible. Where it's like there's a couple different directions. Here's a link to some information. Here's a different style. When you're new on Stack Overflow, you can't post 40 links. You can't post a bunch of formatted code. You have to have a higher score.
True.
Yeah.
So I was at a startup
Gatekeeping.
at WeWork, so I said, everyone, pull up the Stack Overflow post and start upvoting all of my posts
my
so I can get enough points to answer people's questions, to be a good guy. We did that for a minute, and I'm not joking. We got IP banned like right away, and I went out to the little WeWork, everyone's hanging out, and people like, my boss doesn't understand. Stack Overflow's down. I had multiple devs who were like, pissed off, and they're all like, it was WeWork, so it wasn't like a bunch of like super software devs. They're like, they don't understand. I have to take the day off. Like, who did this? And not just that, it said our company name on it. It had just our, so they were like trying to find our cubicle in the WeWork. So it was like, I don't know how. Yeah, so it was bad.
That is
It
so
came back
good.
the next day. It was a whole day that it was gone.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so don't manipulate the Stack Overflow. We don't have to worry about this anymore.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
They're gone. They've already been accumulated.
Jeff
in the
Atwood
ChatGPT.
just pledged $100 million of his dollars to give away to charity right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He's like, I was like, oh yeah, Stack Overflow's done. Might as well give the money away and start.
Yeah,
over.
I'm done with that, so it's fine. Yeah.
Whoops. You ever got IP banned any place at work before? Never taken on Jira before?
I have never been IP banned, but I have been threatened by Stack Overflow with a handwritten message.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
That
Yeah,
one
yeah,
is
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
We'll have to save that for the next
Yes,
episode.
we will. Yes. Beautiful.
The next episode.
Thanks, everybody. This was the Stand Up Live. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know if you watched this live, the audio is scuffed. Don't worry. You can watch this later on
Yeah,
YouTube.
on YouTube.
On Prime Channel. And you will be able to see this on Spotify, which you can watch and listen right now.
Yeah, Spotify's up these
We're
days.
on podcast listening platforms everywhere. So you can go there, check
This
it out.
is weekly. This is twice a week. We just
Yeah.
don't do it live. We don't usually do it in person. And yeah.
Do you want to tell me why
Hey,
it's in person?
Hey,
Beacon's mic is like
just
in
do.
his
Hey,
crotch.
just someone in chat. Just do bang stand up, right? If you just do bang stand up, I think
Yeah,
it should
Mike.
shoot out both the Spotify link
Yeah.
and the other one. This is the reason why we don't do it. It's so damn short. I know it's a little short.
Yeah,
Sorry,
next
guys,
time we'll figure it out to get these mics hooked up to something.
Well, this is
but
the
that's
first
fine.
time we're
There you go.
all-
There's YouTube. There's
Yep.
Spotify.
Yep. So thanks everybody. The audio will be fixed in post.
Can we play the ball song?
No, we can't right now because I don't know how to get that audio through there.
The ball
They're
song
gonna
for
have to
next
save
time.
it for
Is
later.
gnarly.
Can I just
If
play it
you're
right
in
here?
Europe and you're near Amsterdam, you can come to TwitchCon EU. Me and Prime will be there as well as Beacon actually. Well, if I don't know, there's
I just got my passport today, and I fly tomorrow.
yeah. So hopefully
That's
that'll
actually
happen.
insane.
But that's literally gonna spoil.
That's probably like blasting their ear.
It's gonna spoil.
You don't get to hear the rest of the song.
You cannot play the
I know.
rest, please. Okay, that's it. Thanks everybody.
Can't
We'll
let
see
you
you
hear the rest
later.
of it.
Follow the podcast on Spotify. Give it 5 stars if you're there, but don't everyone do it at once. We don't want to get IP banned.
Yes, please, just separate it out.
We don't want
Oh,
to get
we
IP
do
banned.
have Crocs.
Little
Hey,
jittery.
hey,
Everyone
we're
pick
Crocs
a
boys.
everyone pick a time.
I know
Crocs
that. Croc
Dirty
boys.
Croc boys.
Boot up the day, vibe coding, errors on my screen, terminal coffee in hand.